Catherine the Great's reign, the German princess who conquered Russia. She arrived in Russia as a teenage nobody from a minor German principality, couldn't speak the language, and had no claim to the throne. 34 years later, she would be called the Great, one of only 2 Russian rulers ever to earn that title. But between those 2 points lies a story so audacious, so brilliantly calculated, and so scandalously dramatic that it reads like fiction. This is the story of how Catherine II didn't just survive the most treacherous court in Europe, she conquered it. The coup that changed everything, picture this. July 9th, 1762, St. Petersburg. A German-born woman who has been empress for exactly 0 days wakes up at 6 in the morning to news that should terrify her. Her husband, Emperor Peter III, is planning to arrest her. Within hours, she's wearing a guard's uniform, riding at the head of 14,000 troops, and deposing the legitimate ruler of the largest empire on earth. 8 days later, Peter is dead under mysterious circumstances. Catherine is 33 years old. Most people would call this a coup. Catherine called it destiny. But here's what makes her story extraordinary. The coup wasn't the remarkable part. It was what she did with the next 34 years that transformed Russia from a backward European periphery into a dominant continental power. Catherine the Great didn't just steal a throne. She earned the title that came with it. The prisoner who studied her captors. Catherine's real name was Sophie, and when she arrived in Russia at age 14 to marry the Grand Duke Peter, she was essentially imported breeding stock for the Romanov dynasty. Her future husband was a disaster, childish, cruel, and openly contemptuous of Russia itself. He played with toy soldiers while Catherine did something far more strategic. She watched, learned, and prepared. While Peter alienated everyone at court, Catherine mastered Russian, converted to Orthodoxy with visible devotion, and cultivated relationships with the military, the church, and the nobility. She read voraciously Voltaire, Montesquieu, the Enlightenment philosophers who were reshaping European thought. When courtiers whispered that her marriage was a prison, they were right. But Catherine was studying her captors, learning their weaknesses, and planning her escape. Here's the twist. The very things that made her an outsider, her foreign birth, her lack of claim to the throne, her position as a wronged wife, became her greatest advantages. She wasn't burdened by Russian tradition because she hadn't grown up with it. She could see Russia's potential because she had perspective. And when she finally struck, she struck with the precision of someone who had spent 17 years planning every move. The enlightened despot's paradox. Once in power, Catherine faced an impossible balancing act. She genuinely admired Enlightenment ideals: reason, progress, religious tolerance, the rule of law. She corresponded with Voltaire, who called her the Star of the North. She invited Diderot to Russia and paid him to complete his encyclopedia. She even attempted to codify Russian law through the famous Nakaz, a progressive document that proposed equality before the law and opposed torture and capital punishment. But here's the uncomfortable truth that makes Catherine endlessly fascinating. She ruled over a nation built on serfdom, where millions of peasants were essentially owned by noble landlords. She knew it was wrong. She wrote about its injustice, and yet she expanded it. Why? Because Catherine understood power in ways that pure idealists never do. She had seized the throne through military support, and that military was officered by nobles whose wealth depended on serf labor. To dismantle serfdom would be to dismantle her own support base. So Catherine became what history calls an enlightened despot, a ruler who promoted progressive ideas while maintaining absolute control and protecting elite privilege. It's tempting to call this hypocrisy, but it's actually more interesting than that. Catherine genuinely believed in progress, but she believed in her own survival more. She would reform Russia, but only as far as Russia's elite would tolerate. It's a masterclass in political realism that still resonates today. The empire builder who redrew maps. While Catherine debated philosophy, she was also waging war, seizing territory, and fundamentally reshaping Eastern Europe's balance of power. This is where her reign gets genuinely impressive from a strategic standpoint. Through 2 wars with the Ottoman Empire, Catherine secured Russia's long-sought access to the Black Sea, and established the port city of Odessa. She annexed Crimea in 1783, adding 22,000 square miles to Russian territory. She participated in 3 partitions of Poland, erasing an ancient kingdom from the map and pushing Russia's borders deep into Europe. By the end of her reign, Russia had gained approximately 200,000 square miles of territory and 7 million new subjects. Here's what often gets overlooked. Catherine wasn't just grabbing land. She was deliberately positioning Russia as a European great power. She established new cities, promoted agriculture and industry in newly acquired territories, and created the administrative structures to govern this vast expansion. When she founded the city of Yekaterinburg in the Urals, or when she established the Black Sea Fleet, she was thinking in terms of centuries, not years. And she did all this while managing the most elaborate court in Europe, commissioning the construction of the Hermitage, patronizing arts and architecture, and maintaining correspondence with the greatest minds of her age. Catherine was a ruler who understood that power is both military and cultural, both territorial and intellectual. The revolution that terrified her. Then came 1789, and everything changed. The French Revolution sent shockwaves through every European court, but for Catherine, it represented a personal crisis. Her entire self-image was built on being an enlightened monarch who could implement reform from above, preventing the very chaos now consuming France. The revolution suggested that perhaps enlightened despotism wasn't enough. Perhaps the ideas she had promoted, liberty, equality, reason, couldn't be contained within autocracy. Catherine's response revealed the limits of her progressivism. She severed ties with her French correspondents, increased censorship, cracked down on dissent, and became markedly more conservative. When a young writer named Alexander Radishchev published a book criticizing serfdom, using arguments similar to Catherine's own earlier writings, she had him arrested and exiled to Siberia. It's a transformation that makes her deeply human and historically significant. Catherine had ridden the wave of Enlightenment ideas to power, but when those same ideas threatened the system she had built, she chose the system. The legacy in the Winter Palace. Catherine died suddenly on November 17, 1796, likely from a stroke. She had ruled for 34 years, longer than almost any other Romanov. She left behind an empire that stretched from Poland to Alaska, a court renowned throughout Europe for its sophistication, and a legacy so complex that historians still debate it today. Was she a hypocrite who preached freedom while expanding slavery? Or was she a pragmatist who did the most good possible within impossible constraints? Was her reign a betrayal of Enlightenment ideals or proof that those ideals could only survive when grafted onto existing power structures? Perhaps the answer is simpler. Catherine was neither saint nor villain, but something more interesting. A brilliant political operator who understood that ruling isn't about purity of principle, but about balancing ideals against reality, vision against constraint, and ambition against survival. She came to Russia with nothing and left it transformed. In an age of absolute monarchs, she wasn't just powerful, she was great. And that German accent she never quite lost? It turned out to be the voice of an empire.